Soldier of Christ reporting for duty. How's it going, everyone? Hope everyone's doing well and staying safe. Back here with another video. I'm gonna try to make perhaps this a series. It's another 3 ways today, but I might make one where there's maybe like more methods and whatnot. But today's video is gonna be 3 ways to deal with anxiety as a Christian. So first things first. What I'd like to get to is Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. It speaks, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding." And that's something that's that isn't too apparent today, because it's very easy to want to lean on your own understanding and to just go by what you might think is to be true. It's very easy to just operate on what you think is true and not necessarily take other things into account. So, of course, us as Christians, what we do is when we're not sure of something, we can consult the Bible, and it's very relevant to life, especially in modern day. A lot of things in the Bible are very relevant. So, a lot of times when we're not sure of something, it's best to not always just go on our own intuition, but to consult the Bible and to see if perhaps we can look at it to gain a better understanding of what's going on. And also another portion I'd like to get to is still in Proverbs. This time, chapter 19, verse 21 speaks, "Many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." So it's sort of like when you might plan something out, and it's sometimes the plans fall through and it doesn't necessarily come to fruition what you want to happen. I've experienced this many times. I can actually tell a little story. So I remember in high school, it was sort of like this time when seniors were supposed to perhaps sign up for it was the National Honor Society, and my two buddies and I, we applied to it, and of course, to get into the program, you needed sort of like volunteer experience, leadership experience, and mostly just like extracurriculars as well, and also sort of like perhaps academic accolades and whatnot. And of course, it was very difficult for me because in high school, at that time of my life, I really didn't have too much experience or anything under my belt that I could put on there. I definitely did still have some like volunteer experience and extracurricular activities and whatnot, but not enough to qualify for the National Honor Society. And one of my two friends was actually in the same boat. He actually had a lot on there and whatnot, but it wasn't enough to make the cut. And my other friend, actually, he was able to get in because he did have enough to make the cut, and he did fulfill the requirements. And of course, my friend and I that didn't get into the National Honor Society, we were kind of upset because we thought that we qualified enough and that we did enough to be able to qualify and be a part of the program. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. So even though we planned for that to happen, it didn't go to according to plan. And as Christians, that's very discouraging, and it makes us anxious when we feel that our plans might not come to fruition. But trusting in God that that He has the best plans in mind for us, and not necessarily just us thinking that we know the best, sort of going back to leaning on our own understanding. We might think that following through with this plan or everything going according to plan is something that God wants for us, but it might very well be something that God doesn't want for us, and He might be sort of restricting us from it to sort of protect us in a way. Which brings us to number 3, and that's to have faith. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7 speaks, "We live by faith, not by sight." And of course, that's something us as Christians should all keep in mind, because a lot of things that we might be questioned about, a lot of things that we may not know, we sometimes have to go by faith. It's not something that we can see. It's not something that is always apparent to the average person to be able to see. And it's sort of, I guess, something that you can maybe equate it to is sort of like gravity. Of course, we don't necessarily see gravity, but we know it's there. We know it's in motion. It's acting, and that gravity is real and it's there. Of course, we can't necessarily see it, but we know it's there. So, not being able to see something doesn't mean that it's not necessarily there, of course. You can go back to sort of like most things in history, and, we necessarily didn't see everything that happened in history, but we understand that there were several accounts of maybe certain wars or battles that went on in history, and we believe it to be true because of all of these accounts. Not necessarily because we were there and we were present, because it was, for most of us, long before our time. So when we have faith, we're able to sort of deal with this anxiety, as we know that even though we might not see um, things occurring that might help us, as long as we follow God and we obey Him and we have faith, we can believe that He is working for our good. That's all I really wanted to get to today. Kind of a quick video, but hope to get something out here. Perhaps I was thinking about making this a series, and also trying my best to work more on my testimonial video. So I hope to have that out soon as well. And yeah, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for watching and sticking through me, even though I'm just starting to get back on track. So thank you once again, and until next time, Soldier of Christ, out.